The Retail Podcast, a global conversation hosted by Alex Rezvan Bianet.
Hello and welcome back to another 5-minute soundbite episode from the Retail Podcast. Today's 5 minutes, we're going to look at decision fatigue. What is it? How do retailers use it? And what do I think about it? Or what could be the possibilities for retailers? So what is decision fatigue? Decision fatigue refers to the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision making, and how this leads to the cause of irrational trade-offs. Some famous examples that you may have heard of, for example, Barack Obama, Steve Jobs, or Mark Zuckerberg only choosing one or two outfits to choose from a day, i.e. limiting the number of decisions they had to make. A great book that you could read for more information on what decision fatigue is and its causes and everything else is called The Psychology of Economic Decisions by Isabel Brocas and Juan De Carlo. It was first published in 2003, and it has a couple of key areas the book focuses on: the reduced ability to make trade-offs, decision avoidance, impulse purchasing, and the impaired self-regulation. Now, obviously, we've only got 5 minutes, 2.5 minutes left in the podcast soundbite. And so rather than looking at all the specific components, let's look at it in the real world. And a great example of decision fatigue and how it is not part of the customer journey is when you look at small format retailers such as Aldi, Lidl, Netto, Trader Joe's, or any small format store that stocks, let's say, less than 2,000 SKUs. I mean, when you look at Aldi and their first introduction into the UK market in 1990, I believe, in one of the suburbs in Birmingham, I think Stetchford, if I can remember correctly, they only had 600 products when they first launched. They had their store associates memorize the price of every single product. So when the customer turned up at that checkout, the store associate was able to check them out in record time. And the main supermarket chains of the days, Tesco's and Sainsbury's, which dominated the UK, felt that they had this market locked down. And again, another classic example of not understanding that the consumer's life and world is changing. And how does the retailer stay up to date with what's going on in the consumer's life? The birth of mobile happened, Facebook happened, Instagram happened. People came underneath a barrage of data and information and notifications, and having to make these constant choices through the day. So when they turned up in an Aldi or Lidl or Trader Joe's, it was wonderful that going from 6 varieties of ketchup, it went down to 2, or from 5 different pastas, they had a choice of 2 at a price that they felt was competitive. And so therefore, the fact that the retailer understood these components, obviously, I have to, this isn't just the only reason why these companies have been successful, but decision fatigue in retail is a real thing. And the fact that if you go to some of these large supermarkets or department stores, and just at the checkout point, you are faced with some delicious sugary sweets, it's not for the love of the consumer, it's because of the hard fact that the perishable goods that they've got there can last longer than some of the items that are sold on the shop floor. And so therefore, retailers do use decision fatigue to guide the consumer to make purchases on this knife edge of will I, won't I? But I do believe that there is a good way to use decision fatigue by using it in its simplest, purest form. I've spoken about the humanistic design. So if we're able to integrate a humanistic design that limits the amount of decisions, but has the variety that we need and uses modern technology and data to help us get there, I believe that in this modern digital world, that's how retailers can use decision fatigue in a positive way to provide a better path to purchase and a delightful shopping experience. Well, we've hit the top of the 5-minute mark. I think, again, I've just gone over. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you've enjoyed this, please do like or subscribe via whatever method you're listening to this podcast. And let's start a conversation. If you disagree or want to comment, I'd love to engage and have a conversation with you. And until next time, I hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to when we speak again.